Well, I mean, this is part of the nice guy syndrome. So one of the things that I always find is that if and I apply this to myself as well as anyone else. If you're having a conversation in your head with somebody, that means that you actually need to vocalize that conversation and have it outwardly, because the conversation in your head isn't going to go anywhere. And so, like, as an example, I had a conversation this weekend with my beloved because I was feeling disconnected. We're in a long distance relationship, so that has its own challenges. And I was having it. I found myself. I'm talking aloud to myself, and I'm like, all right. I just said to myself, okay, if you're saying this aloud to yourself, then it's time to say it. Say it to her. She can't do
Mhm.
anything about it if she doesn't hear it. I can't. And I think that again, it kind of comes right down to like we need to we need to recognize, like, okay, like if there's something going on in here, then there's something that needs to go on out there,
I think so too,
whatever that is.
yeah, and one of the things I always coach people on when it comes to communications is like when you're thinking about that kind of stuff, like you can make almost anything make sense in your own head. Like it doesn't matter how crazy it is, man. Like it's nuts what you can, you can rationalize in your own head. So, I think I always, counsel the guys I coach and stuff is like, when you're gonna address an issue like that, like, especially if you've told yourself a story about somebody else's intentions or motivations or position or whatever is acknowledge it when you're communicating it by saying, "The story I'm telling myself is this." Because it reminds you that you're telling yourself a story because our minds don't like incomplete pictures. So what we're going to do is we're going to make whenever there's a gap in our knowledge, we're going to make up a story to fill in the gap. And because human beings tend to have a negativity bias, the story we make up is often the worst possible version of what it could be. So if you start like a conversation by saying, "Hey, the story I'm telling myself is blah," it reminds you you're telling yourself a story, but it also reminds the other person that you're only actually just sharing your experience. You're not like accusing them, like saying, "Ah, you're doing this." You know what I mean? And it's a way of expressing your experience, taking ownership over your experience, and communicating in a way that's very likely to mitigate the chance of the other person becoming defensive.